Are you feeling out of sorts these days? Less of yourself? Are you more tired, more irritable, eating more or even less, having frequent headaches or trouble sleeping? If you are, you should know that these are all signs of excessive stress. And when you look at all that's happening, it's easy to understand why.
Even for persons who felt like they were managing with the pandemic early on, I had some persons say, well, my goodness, this is a lot. It's more than I expected, And so if you are doing well and then you realize that when they talk about the tropical storm warning possibility of hurricane and you felt out of control, that is pretty much normal. What I have noticed is that when now we're accumulating stressors, we're accumulating traumas because these are natural disasters, but they're all considered trauma events as well. And so what I've noticed is that persons who had experienced trauma early on, now it's going to start to impact them even more. So I think that is something for people to be mindful of, is in terms of you may having flashback memories, you may starting to have these deep feeling of sadness or irritability and not really sure why. There may be changes in terms of feelings of I'm being punished for something or feeling like, man, this is just so unbearable at times. So it's very important that people start to notice the changes. Whenever a person experiences cumulative trauma, stress, different type of stressors, and it's ongoing, what starts to happen is start to impact their health overall. There's an increase in cortisol, and that impacts your heart, that impacts your sugar, that impacts hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. It affects your memory. So in the health aspect, it really affects you health wise. In terms of work, you may notice employers may notice that they have high level of absenteeism at work. People may go to alcohol as a means of coping. People start to engage in sexual activities and not practice safe sex as a result. So there's so many different aspects that impact your everyday. People may become more irritable. You're no longer happy with what you're doing. You no longer try to reach out and do things that you really enjoy.
If you've noticed changes in your typical behavior or moods, you must deal with your accumulating stress. You may have outlets for stress relief that typically work, but if you're struggling, it may be time to reach out to a professional for help.
Therapists are the silent first responders as well in terms of when it comes to mental health. We all need someone to speak to. It's always good to have a professional that you can go to. One, when you go to a counselor, the services is professional. Family members, friends, while they have all good intentions, sometimes they block us from really sharing what we're feeling, and we don't want to always burden them. And a lot of people like to say, I don't want to burden my family members with what I'm going through. Therapists and counselors teach you about interventions, right? You, as the person who seeks professional help, you are the expert in your life. You know yourself better than anyone else. And so when you share your concerns and your challenges with a professional, what you're doing is explaining to them and sharing what you're experiencing. And what they do is to help you process what you're experiencing, but also help you to find your own solutions. So therapists and counselors don't give you advice on how to live your life. They teach you interventions of how you want to deal with your life. So it's all about you. So it's having that safe space to do that. So it's more of a problem solving strategy. It's a way for you to have that safe space to cry, to laugh, to just say the things that sometimes it's hard to say out loud, and have that safe space to say it.
Reaching out for help is even easier now as counseling services can be accessed online.
For us at Counseling and Psychological Services, we offer online services as well as in person. So for online services, it's pretty much the same process. Once you have internet, you have a quiet place that you could create your own safe space virtually. You can do therapy from pretty much anywhere. You can do it in your car if you're the only one in your car. If your house is crowded, you can go in your yard. You could even go in the bathroom.
Lopez also urges that you pay attention to loved ones as well.
It's just so many different aspects that when you have unresolved trauma, when you have an accumulation of stress, it becomes heavy. And some people oftentimes may become hopeless. Now we're also in the month of suicide prevention month. And so we at Counseling and Psychological Services is also trying to educate people about suicide because again, stress And because of the pandemic, because of all that's happening around the world, um, sometimes people do consider suicide, you know.
If you or someone you know are interested in seeking help to cope through these challenging times, you can reach out to Lopez at Counseling and Psychological Services on Facebook. The Ministry of Health does offer free mental health services at public health clinics across the country.